when we talk to our children about who God is, we want to give them a picture of the wonderful God that made us, the wonderful God that has offered to forgive us and save us in Jesus Christ. And the book of Matthew gives us some amazing ways to talk to our children about how wonderful this Jesus is. Listen to these words in Matthew 11, verse 28. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." A few verses later in chapter 12, verse 18, Matthew will quote the prophet Isaiah, talking about the servant who would come, and he will say these words, "Here is my chosen servant, the one whom I love, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, a smouldering wick he will not snuff out, till he leads justice to victory. In his name, nations will put their hope." And you have this wonderful image of a Jesus who offers us rest for our souls. So often with children we can present Jesus as wagging the finger and saying, you should obey me. And of course we should obey him. But here we get a picture of a Jesus who is rest for our souls. He is home. That every single one of our hearts are yearning to be back with the God that loves us. Even if we won't say it out loud, even if we deny it, there is a rest for our souls that can only be found in Jesus. And that is the Jesus that we want to present to our kids. And when it talks about the servant from Isaiah, it talks about one who the bruised reed he will not break. Someone who has felt the guilt of their sin. Someone who has felt the hurt and the bite and the pain of this world. The bruised reed. He's not going to snap that reed. He's going to be gentle with it. And that sort of smouldering little fire, that smouldering wick where there's this smoke coming out, but you can hardly see the flames. You know, if you blew it, it would be gone. He says a smouldering wick, he won't snuff out. He'll be gentle with it. And Jesus is gentle with us. He knows that we're broken. He knows that we're sinful. And yet he offers us rest for our souls. And he offers us gentleness and compassion in our weakness. The bruised reed he will not break. The smouldering wick he will not snuff out. And particularly as our children start to get older and start to ask difficult questions about who God is, we want to give them permission to ask those questions. We want to give them permission to doubt and wrestle with who God is, because we want their faith to be their own faith. And we don't want them to feel scared about asking questions of us in case they let us down. Actually, we want them to ask questions. We want them to wrestle with their faith, knowing that Jesus is a gentle Saviour. A bruised reed he will not break, a smouldering wick he will not snuff out. He knows we're weak. He knows we struggle. He knows we stumble into sin. And yet he is gentle with us. And he provides us a rest for our souls that can be found nowhere else. And when we are talking to our children about this Jesus, we want to present him in all his wonder, in all his beauty, that they see him for who he is, and they want that rest.